Because Peter knows when his heart stops, he's in heaven. The little dash I was born May 14th, 1958, to wherever the dash is down the line when I go to heaven, that life here on earth, what I do is I glorify God. It doesn't matter if he strips us of everything. It doesn't matter if we become a reproach and embarrassment. It doesn't matter what happens. Whatever Satan throws at us, we're going to stand firm that we belong to Jesus. That reveals the manifold wisdom of God. I could teach a whole series on it. It makes my skin crawl with joy at every time. That's why does James say, I remember coming into Christianity, and James 1, count it all joy when you fall into various trials and temptations. What? Are you kidding? Throw a party because you have a challenge? Why? You get to see the glory of God. You get to reveal the manifold wisdom of God. And that's why being one with him is so important. Because what does Satan want to do if we're one with Jesus? Separate us. How does he separate us? He causes us to think God abandoned us and doesn't love us. He causes situations to rise for a person to say, God doesn't love me. Why would he let me go through this? God doesn't love me. Why did this come into my life? Why do I have to live this way? Why? In all of those, it should be turned around to say, yes, I get to glorify God in what's coming at me. That makes us different. That's why this is all in, covenant through God's eyes. I mean, when you look at it, this isn't the way humanity is worried about their image. Paul said, my image was dung. It didn't mean anything anymore, right? Why? That I might know him and the power of his resurrection, that I might know him. And so we're down here fighting over this and fighting over that. And here's the thing. Eternity is much longer than whatever God gives us here, right? We're called to be one. God gave us the equipment to walk as one. So if this is walking as one, Satan's agenda is to get us to not walk as one, to separate us, to break up our unity, to break up our bonds, to make us think that God doesn't love us. I mean, go to Romans 8 and we'll close there. Romans 8 spells it out really well. Verse 31, what shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? What is it saying there? God was at a level of commitment for us that he gave Jesus. He watched an innocent son of his come down and pay a torturous price, right? It says, who shall bring a charge against God's elect? It's God who justifies. Who is he who condemns? It's Christ who died and furthermore is also risen, even at the right hand of God, who also makes intercessions for us. So he's asking these questions. If God didn't spare his son, why would he hold anything back from you if he gave his best, right? Who's going to bring a charge against you if God's the judge and Jesus justified you? What can Satan do, right? It says, Jesus is seated at the right hand. Now listen to what he says. Who shall separate you or separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, distress, persecution, famine, nakedness, peril, or sword? As it is written, for your sake we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Yet in all of these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. So he's asked another question.